Afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you tuned into every Saturday afternoon. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and I'm here doing the same thing I've been doing ever since we started the show back in 2004, trying to make sense out of a sensitive situation called the plight of veterans in the USA and the USA with the plight of veterans. Now, I need some help with all of that, so I got my crime dog and partner in crime, Tony, co-hosting at my right. How you doing, brother Tony?
I'm doing good.
Now I got something so special. This is my goddaughter. I've been knowing this girl all her life. And she's a queen. I mean, just got so much talent and so much stuff that she gonna bring to the table as a co-host of Veterans Talk. Misha.
Yeah.
The doctor, right.
In the house.
Yes.
Representing for the daughters of the vets. Let's get it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
See, what Misha bringing to the show is that we took these licks, Tony, down through the years of the Sons of Atlanta, and some people start taking offense to that because they know they had some daughters of Atlanta too. So, and thinking about it, and I said, now, there wasn't nobody killed in the Vietnam War that was female, and we're thankful for that. We're absolutely grateful for that. But there was some females victimized by the war. Victimized. When I say victimized by the war, and this young lady is a perfect example of it. Had her dad, one of my best friends, like a brother from another mother. A man that we met as kids and we grew up together, fighting each other, trying to help each other with both of us disabled. But we was there for each other. Vietnam. Now he was a Marine. I'm a paratrooper, so we was always arguing about stuff. But his pride and his service was something that was contagious. And his capacity to serve was contagious. I remember you used to tell Joseph, we're going to do something the next day. 7 o'clock in the morning, he knocking on my door. Get up! Wait a minute, bro. We just get up, man. We got work to do. That's what we miss in Joseph Wright Jr. But his spirit and his daughter, right? This is his second daughter, and one day we'll talk about his first daughter.
Yes.
And how these kids were victimized because their dad was not given his true status when he was discharged. He was disabled when he was discharged from the U.S. military. It took him almost 40 years to get his benefits. So what happens with that? What happens is that the sacred pledge is violated. That we get when we go into the military, that if you serve honorably and you become disabled because of this service, the military, the government will take care of you and your dependents.
Right.
You and your dependents. And, I look at my birth children, and then I look at my godchildren, and I have to say, they was cheated. Because I know I was disabled when I was discharged from military service, but by them not recognizing it, my children was not able to go to school, college free.
Right.
They was denied that.
Correct.
They was absolutely robbed of that benefit. And the cost of it is generational. It's not... because we went in as a stepping stone, to help us better ourselves, our family, and our community. And then we get cheated. But Misha is the daughter of a son of Atlanta, Vietnam vet daughter.
Yes.
And she's amazing because she has so much talent. And she's done so many things over her look life, she's still a baby. Over her life, as a dancer, she did that, and and then now in broadcasting, she went to school for broadcasting, and now in college teaching. But she gonna have a college student loan problem. The problem, same problem we saw Biden trying to address now.
Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah,
so just like, you speak of your, birth children, I was cheated.
Cheated. That's what we're talking about.
Right. But the great thing is, I feel like, because of you, my father, the spirit that you guys put into me, it didn't stop me.
Yeah, it didn't stop you.
And that's what we have to, put back in the community and
exactly.
And let them know that,
the same spirit.
They're dealing, so many families are broke up, and dealing with the same issue and just don't know how to deal with it or even identify it to make a change.
Yeah, that's right. To identify it, and that's what we got to do, to identify these issues, and because what we know, the benefits was meant for the veteran, his family, and his community. Now, but if you don't get the benefits to 30 years after you got out of the military, hell, you ain't got no children. They grown.
Yeah. Right.
And the system cut them off at 24 if they're not in college. They cut them off at 18 if they're not in college. So these rules and regulations can be tweaked if we knew they was there.
Correct,
they could be changed if we knew they were there. You and I know what that is, Tony.
Yep.
But we don't know that they're there. So I'm so glad Misha is just not coming on as a co-host, but an example.
Yep.
As a part of this plight of veterans that we want the community to know, because we don't want young people coming out of the military they disabled and it take them 40 years to get to their benefits. Their children are being denied their help that they deserve. But like she said, the spirit that her dad had, she got it. She's pushy. She a workaholic. She hard-headed. All of that. But that's what make leaders.
Yes.
That's what make leaders. That's what make people knock on your door at 7 o'clock in the morning if you say you finna do so.
Right.
We got to have that kind of attitude with dealing with these problems in our community today, because we are up against something that our ancestors was not up against, right? We have a force of spirit in this country that's trying to divide the people in a way that undermine the democracy and take away the governments that we serve to have. And that's a problem. That's a real problem. And I think the way we can address it, Tony, is the way we're doing now, by giving out the information. We had a monthly membership meeting today where all we talked about was what we're doing. There I had to talk about what we're doing, because in order to be an organization in the community saying you're doing something for veterans, you got to actually be doing something.
Exactly.
And now we're at that point where what we've been doing, we need the community to start chiming in with it, to join the movement, because we have planted a seed. And we have shown that by dealing with the government, just me, him, and Bernard. We had some other people that came on and helped after we got the ball rolling. But me, him, and Bernard going down to city council, to city hall, talking to our elected officials, we was able to accomplish some major, things in the community. Now we need the community to actually chime in with us to make sure that the impact of this work is manifested. Because see, what we want to make sure that the resources of the government that's directed to address issues in our community is delivered in our community in a way that it does that. Mm-hmm. We don't want all the just slick grant writers and the politicians to get in and get the money, and we see the problem that it was meant to address growing, not decreasing. So what we want to make sure, and talk about some of the things. See, you witnessed your dad's struggle.
Yes.
You witnessed his struggle. You even witnessed the fact that I hear people tell me Atlanta, the West VA, and I said, you preaching to the choir. I know it's the worst VA. I ain't just been knowing it because I've been addressing it. You know, your dad had to leave Atlanta. You go back to,
I drove him.
So tell us about, watching this stuff, man. Come on.
Okay. Hope I don't get too emotional. Okay, but yes, so I saw, that my father was having a rough time in Atlanta, and God bless his soul. He had told me, once my sister passed away when he was incarcerated, mm-hmm. he said, that he felt like he died mm-hmm. then. And so honestly, all he could do was pray for me. Mm-hmm. But my thing was, I didn't care mm-hmm. about none of that. And I know he feels it now, but that was my message to him. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't care about the past. I didn't care what happened. I just wanted us to make a life together now. Mm-hmm. So in seeing that he was having a tough time, I knew he had a friend in Roanoke that it was another VA hospital mm-hmm. that I think he had a close friend that ran.
Actually, one of his classmates. I went to school with him.
And I want to say, is his last name McGee?
His last name was McGee too.
I haven't talked to him in a while, but I remember calling him Mr. McGee. Yeah, like I say, now that we bring this up, because I haven't thought about this in years.
His name was McGee.
So, but it was in Roanoke, Virginia, mm-hmm. and so
he left. He left Atlanta. Now you got to understand, he was working in a Vietnam veterans organization, mm-hmm. right? He knew the system. Me and him filed claims, helping other folks. Mm-hmm. But the aura around his stuff in the case, it was so running around the track, right? All the information that they needed was there. They just didn't want to address it because, the appearance of giving veterans justice don't seem a concern to the populace in control of government. Mm-hmm. And we have to be understanding of that. And we have to understand how to address that particular issue. But what he went through is what you hear on the news now. The Atlanta VA is the worst in the country, right? Because of the way they handle the veterans' mm-hmm. Issues. And I'm going to say it's just a part of old Dixie. And we need to understand that. Once we can understand that the VA was promulgated in a time of segregation in this country, when integration came, they had already basically written the VA for white folks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell the truth. Shame the devil. They used to say, tell the truth. But they had basically written, designed it for white folks. Now, they done integrated the military. 1954, that's when Vietnam War era started. You got an influx all of a sudden of all these veterans of color, mm-hmm. Hispanic, Native Americans, blacks, Asians, all of them, because it was a doorway to citizenship for a lot of people and a stepping stone for others. We believe that. That's what it was, a stepping stone. So we either, a lot of us didn't wait for the draft. For some of them volunteered during that time period. But most of us was drafted. And during the time of draft, a lot of people don't realize they drafted you in the Air Force, the Navy, Marines, or whatever they want to draft you in, and that's where you went. Mm. And
so you didn't have a choice to pick.
You didn't have a choice. That was the law of the land, and it was so obnoxious that a lot of people wouldn't even deal with. I ain't gonna fight. Yeah. And the controversy. I looked at the way Muhammad Ali dealt with it. And that show you the magnitude of what that law was. Muhammad say, I object to going because of my religious belief. Oh, you gonna go, boy, anyway. And that was a legitimate reason, right? Yeah. But they not only did they deny that, they took the man championship. Yes. They took his livelihood away from him. Yeah. He had to go all the way up to the Supreme Court to win that case. And what it taught us is that, you know, we can, if we act citizen-like, right?
Yeah.
We can be citizens. It might be a sacrifice, you know, it might be some consequences, but our ancestors paid those consequences anyway.
Yes.
They did that, and I think it's upon our generation, upon our shoulders, to push it forward, to grow it, to make sure that community understand it and that can embrace it in a way that you don't have any other people saying that your father is not disabled enough for him to get his benefits and for him to take care of his children so that his children can get those benefits by going to school. You know, so that sacrifice, that robbery, I'm saying, in our benefits, is generational. It didn't just start in the era of Vietnam. You know, now we got to understand that it started in the Korea era because the Korea veterans was actually the first veterans to fully integrate the U.S. military.
Okay.
The Korea veterans.
Right. Yep.
See, because now the last so-called colored unit was deactivated in 1954. That was the year that they started sending advisors to Vietnam. You know, like they send advisors where they send advisors at now. It's everywhere. You know, so what we got to look at in order to make the community really understand the value of what we're saying and how much funding, you know, that we've lost, right? You know, the average education, you working on your master's now.
Right.
The average education up to the master's level, you get up there, you're $100,000 in debt.
Oh yeah, I'm up there.
See,
and look, and this is the only thing that might save me because I'm a teacher now. So the loan forgiveness that Biden was trying to do, like for everybody, I still may qualify only because I'm a teacher, and that's really because his wife is a teacher. So
well, see, now I'm gonna say this here. I really think that Biden. Even though I'm not a Democrat or Republican, but I'm thinking that Biden probably has made the best leaps toward real integration of any president in modern time. You know, because of the way his cabinet is. You know, I mean, he got a cabinet that looked like the rest of the country.
Yeah.
Now, I ain't saying all of them competent, because I think that attorney general that he appointed was soft. It shouldn't have took 2 years to start the prosecution of Donald Trump and that crew. It took 2 years. That's too long.
Yeah.
You know, now if one of us had been committing crime, it would have took them 2 minutes, and you'd have been in handcuffs.
Right.
See,
Under the jail.
See, so we got to make sure that we understand what is at stake here, because the equal treatment under the law is not being applied across the board.
Yeah, equally. Yep.
You know, listen, we used to look at crime prevention. In order to know what to do to prevent crime, you need to know what crime is. Crime is an act of omission, right, or commission. The act of omission is when a lawful authority does not enforce the law.
Exactly.
Right? You got people sitting on the bench in prosecuting office and in positions of authority that should enforce the law equally to everybody. They won't do it. They absolutely will not do it. And that's what we're seeing at the VA level. I want to explain that to you. You got people sitting in those jobs at the VA. Congress enacts the laws, right? VA regulates how that law gonna be carried out. The regulations get in the way of the law. You know, what I'm trying to say to folks is the regulations get in the way of the law, because that means that the people that carrying out the law is coming up with a regulation. Something's wrong with that. Yeah. That's too much discretion. You know, that's just too much discretion. I look at cases where examiner's opinion outweighs the VA duty to assist. They say they got an examiner that they done sent your case to, and well, based on the information, even though they didn't submitted this information and this valid information, but most likely than not comes up, and that's a discretion of the examiner. And unfortunately, most of the examiners don't see the cultural bias in some of the regulations that they done came up with. And I want to give you one cultural bias that we see in examiners all the time. This person dressed nice, so therefore he ain't got no problem.
Yeah.
We always dress nice.
Yes.
You know, you cannot look at a person the way he's dressed or the way he's carrying his personal appearances and say that he don't have a problem or not. Mm-hmm. You know, I got this stuff written in my records twice. You know, you look pretty good. You ain't nasty. Listen, my sister, my mama, no, they wouldn't go for none of that anyway. So they see what I'm saying culturally.
Exactly.
Culturally, they should look over and say, well, he's still close to his family, you know, because he's dressing and taking care of himself. That don't mean that you don't have a mental problem. Mm-hmm. We see the process and the way they come up with regulation, they can ease a bias into the process without you seeing it as a bias. Mm-hmm. Without you even recognizing the fact that they done rated you or evaluated you on something it's unreasonable. You cannot look at a person the first time you see him and say, oh, because you dress nice, you good.
Yeah.
Right.
How is that? You need to interview some of them people that he's living around or she's living around that see them people every day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, until we get this kind of fairness in the evaluation process, the claim process gonna always be an injustice to peoples of color. I'm sorry to say that.
Mm-hmm. It is like stereotyping people. When they walk in, you're going strictly by what the person looks like, not being aware, or no, you're aware that he has a mental challenge that he's dealing with. Mm-hmm. Okay, he cleans himself up, yet outwardly he looks fine, but mentally he's dealing with all of those situations that occurred while he was serving in the military. You know.
And because of these cultural biases that are in the regulations, we don't see them.
Yeah.
Right? We just don't see them. And because we're not trained to look at legal stuff like that. So we don't see how they culturally biased and therefore racially biased.
Exactly.
And we need to be able to point those cases out to the administrators in a way that we're demanding change. Just do it right. You know, when I think in some evaluations, if you don't interview the family, you're not giving up on a fair evaluation. If you don't interview the family of that veteran, you're not giving that veteran a fair evaluation. Because I had to go through years before I could recognize what suicide ideations were. Mm-hmm. You said talking to me about suicide. I ain't suicide, and I got all kind of suicide behavior things going on with me. Right? You know, but I'm not gonna say I'm suicidal because of my cultural and religious upbringing,
and racial. Because we don't believe in suicide is not a thing that the black community openly talks about and deals with.
And ashamed of.
Yes.
Deeply hurt by the idea that one of your loved ones, somebody that you know, somebody that you're around all day, all the time, would commit suicide, would kill themselves. That is so prevalent in our community because, see, until we recognize that we got to get the cultural bias out of the picture, we don't recognize the number of suicides that people make happen Like, you know, some of the cases that the police killers are suicides.
Yes.
They done made it mind before they got there. They gonna make the police kill them.
Right.
I ain't saying nothing to nobody else, but I know that nigga was crazy.
Yeah.
He made the police kill him.
Yeah.
It was suicide.
Yes. It was intentional suicide. Because they knew that once they created a situation, it's guaranteed he's going to take my life, and that's going to solve my problem that I am not dealing with now. And that is the wrong way to do it. That is the wrong way to deal with a person who's having mental challenges.
And see, one of the things that people don't recognize, Misha, the struggle with people being already disabled, right? And being traumatized by family events and issues that they can't handle, they can't solve, they can't resolve, right? And what makes your dad, you know, how close we were. We talked about everything. He felt powerless, that he couldn't do nothing about this because of where he was, what he had did to be where he was. He beat himself to death. You see what I'm saying? So we have to get people to culturally understand us.
Yes.
Especially in dealing with mental health issues, because I wasn't finna tell nobody I had a mental problem. I'm denying it, right? You know.
And the thing about it, you know, it's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing.
We, as a black race, we don't have mental problems.
We don't have mental problems.
We have mental problems. We will never acknowledge the fact that we're dealing with a mental problem. Because it puts shame on us and the family. You don't want your family member to know that, so he crazy, you know, and you're gonna hear he crazy. But no, that's just not the way to handle the situation.
And until we get these discussions open, just purely open, we're not going to be able to solve the problems that they create. We're not going to be able to solve the problem that they create. Because, you know, to deny mental illness is to deny treatment for your loved one. You know, not for us as veterans, and not just veterans, I looked at the athletes, and, you know, even people that are not athletes that have been traumatized in our communities. They need to recognize that they got, and then they'll know that they ain't got no business having these guns around them.
Exactly.
You know, I ain't got no business with no gun in my AO, because I got a mental problem.
Yes.
I pick up that gun because I could think of my mind to do some crazy stuff with the gun. You know, and that's not something that my family should know. They should understand why I don't want a gun here. You know, don't bring the gun around me.
Right.
You know, because I want a gun. You don't know, I will hurt somebody with the gun.
Yeah.
Because I got a mental problem. I'm gonna misread something.
Yes.
You know, I'm gonna misread something because I got a mental problem. Everybody that loves me need to know that.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't need to try to keep it away from everybody that loves me, because those are the people that are gonna suffer the most when I act out my mental problem. I tell my nieces and nephews, I say, I share the letters that my sisters wrote to me when I was incarcerated. They were so hurt because I was incarcerated. You know, that someone was ashamed that I was incarcerated. So they developed a little separation from me.
Yes.
You know, because you know, my conduct, my mental illness was not dealt with in a way that could produce any pride for them.
Right.
You know, it was ugly. You know, my mental illness took me on an ugly road, and that's why I wrote my book, so that people could understand what we go through. But that's not the end of it all. You know, that's not the end of it all. We in my generation, we're some of the best overcomers I ever seen. Those that live. We're overcomers. Some major overcomers. You know, I think that's the saving grace for my generation. They're overcomers. We're overcomers.
But just think how much more could have been accomplished had the family been involved in the mental health treatments.
Yeah.
You know, because then you have somebody that understands and not afraid. They're not afraid because that love that they have for their family member will outweigh any fear they have about what the person may do to himself or the others. They immediately recognize and say, "Oh, we got to do something about this." And you have a family group that's supportive of the person while he's going through these mental challenges. You know.
Well, you know what I always tell people: when you're decompensated, you're overly sensitive. You know, and most of the time, your high insensitivity is to what you perceive as an injustice, and you don't care whether it's against you or somebody else. You're gonna get involved. You're gonna be drama about it. You know, so if I noticed this when I was in mental health as a professional working in mental health. Now, how did I get there? I don't know. You know. But in the clinic that I took over, which was in the medical center, the Atlanta Medical Center, and the history was bad out, they was having colds, like on the level of maybe 4 or 5 a day. Colds are when the patient get unruly. And, you know, what that was, I learned that the patient was not in an environment where he felt secured, you know, and respected. Right. And the mental illness is that you got a person here that's got a high insensitivity to injustice. He gonna act out. You the least little bit of injustice you pour on his plate, he gonna act out. The more you pour, the more he gonna act out. And until you address those issues, you gonna have that. When we took over, we changed the whole system. We changed it. They had a sort of like a lottery, first come, first serve. Every time you come, you get a different doctor. You talk to a different social worker, so nobody got to know anybody. I set up a team system where we put so many patients on the team, 4 teams, and put case manager, 2 doctors on each team, a nurse, and a PA. You know, and case manager and a social worker, right? So that gave the team capacity to handle a caseload. You know, so now every time the patient come in, he get to see the same folks. So you get to know those folks. Those folks get to know them, and so you don't aggravate them when they come in. You know what they coming in for. You know their disabilities. You know that if you done got them on Percocets, and they've been on Percocets for a while, give them the Percocets when they come in. You know, don't start telling them that you're finna take them off Percocets today, because you're gonna have a cold. You're gonna get a cold. We need this knowledge within our community in a way that the family first.
Yes.
You empower the family. You know, I can say for your dad and for myself too, had my family been more educated and empowered to reach me, I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes I made. That don't mean that they would have kept me from everything.
Everything, but and a prime example of that too is my mother. You know, honestly, I get tired of I shoulda, woulda, coulda, wish I knew this, wish I knew that. That's all I hear her saying now. You know,
because she didn't know. But she had to deal with that. She had to deal with that and the trauma of dealing with it. You know, to have your husband locked up and your child get killed. You know, what kind of trauma is that? You know. But you know, I used to tell people about me and JD. We were like brothers. He was like a brother from another mother. Cause when I'm in trouble, me and him was in trouble together at the same time. You know, at one point we was in prison together. Then he get out, he looking out for me. When I get out, I'm looking out for him. When we got out together, we still came together and start working on a different thing than what we went into prison for doing. Working on community, working on helping folks. You know, change the whole behavior pattern, because we had learned some stuff that we needed to teach. We needed to share in our community. But that didn't mean that we all of a sudden we was well. We weren't well, right?
Right.
You know, because even that process could be disruptive when you start seeing so many cases of people being denied their benefits unjustly. It's depressing.
Yes, yes.
You be wanting to know, man, this is the system that I serve, and why are they doing this?
And why they're making it so difficult. That's the challenge is.
Right.
You know, this is something you promised that you would do. Take care of me. But why are you making it difficult for me to get the things that I'm supposed to get from you? You know, it's challenging.
Wow.
And then you throw the family in there. You know, yes, the patient is having challenges, but that family is also having challenges.
Challenge they never had before.
Yes, because they're totally unfamiliar with the person they love having mental challenges. This is not, like your mother said, that ain't what they told the VA.
That ain't none of my boy.
You know,
that ain't none of my
boy.
boy.
What you give me back and I'm supposed to deal with it? No. She really should have said, we've got to deal with this.
Well, my mom was kind of stubborn in a way. She was saying, Elsie, you going to the VA. I don't want to go to the VA, right? I'm not going to tell my mama that. I'm going to the VA. I get out to the VA, they tell me, oh, you look nice, you dress, you know, they don't know the woman that ran me out to the VA. I got to be at the VA. So the minute they tell me, you good, you ain't nothing wrong with you, going on back, you good. I get back and mama said, I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
She was driven not by what they were saying, but by what she was witnessing.
Yes. Right, she knew.
She knew.
Yeah.
But she was, the only thing she knew that it had something to do with the VA because that's where,
you know.
Right.
But they weren't the answer, but they was, but not really.
Not really.
Now that we know.
Now that we know. And
I mean.
And she should have been an integral part of your treatment.
But they kept saying they didn't even have no mental health department when I went there.
That part.
See, that was the ignorance of the overseer.
Right.
You know, that the DOD should have spurred that kind of thinking at the VA long before the 80s. Long before the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, they waited till our generation came along and just wouldn't take it no more. You know, it was our generation. They've been had PTSD ever since David fought Goliath.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so why do we get people in our government that denies the stuff of reality? We got these naysayers in government now that want to rewrite history, our history of all of a sudden.
Yes.
You know, now what good is gonna do them to rewrite our history?
Yeah.
What good is it gonna do them?
Right.
You know, you got to be reasonable. If you're gonna rewrite the history, that means you ain't learned nothing from it.
Right.
You know, what you learned from it, you're ashamed of it.
Yes.
That's what it is.
You know, you want me to be responsible for your shame. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna be responsible for your shame. I'm not gonna let you rewrite my history.
Exactly. Yes. And exclude me. You know, it's our history, but I'm not included in the rewrite, in your rewriting of the history.
And Tony, that's what I had to go to what we're doing. Because in the libraries, all across Fulton County, we're going to have books that was written by veterans, papers that was written by veterans, pictures that was taken by veterans. We're gonna saturate our community with knowledge. Real knowledge of what we have come through and how well we came through it in spite of the tremendous sacrifice that we made. We've come through it in ways that nobody can deny that we came through it. You know, I look at your generation and how many millionaires and billionaires we done created since the 60s. I'm excited. I know some people scared of that. They fear that because they don't want to share the resources of this country. And I'm sorry. That's the way they feel. But they're going to share the resources. I'm sorry that's the way they feel, but that's, you know, I ain't trying to cater to your feelings.
They don't want to share the benefits, but those new millionaires are sharing the benefits with the community, with our community. You know, and so as a result, they see the challenge there. Not only that, they see the error of their ways by actually segregating themselves from the community that provided them with the opportunity to become wealthy. Yes.
Yes. And see, until they recognize that you know that they don't have the power to take us back.
Yeah.
They you know, without self-destruction. You know, they need to understand that. They don't have the capacity to take us back without self-destruction. Because I'm going to tell you something. My leader has the storms and tornadoes in his hands.
Yeah.
My leader.
Yes.
he can stop anything. I seen him freeze the elements where the planes couldn't fly.
Yeah.
I seen planes that they couldn't put out.
Yeah.
And I seen storms that they couldn't stop.
Yeah.
So I'm telling them that, you know, all this buffoonery, you know, they need to just chill out, really. You know? Our project is a call to unity, meaning for the first time in the history of Fulton County, we got 9 cities that have never did anything together that gonna have to come together in Piedmont Park.
Yeah.
And what's the date?
Okay, that's a good question. Now, the city of Atlanta has bought the project. They in the 2024 city budget.
Okay.
They have allocated $1.5 million to pay for the construction part of the project.
Nice.
So what we're doing now, this is a procurement process. It's government, so they got to go through the procurement process, which will probably take the rest of this year. Like they do with all departments, because the money is not available till next year anyway. So we are hoping that by Memorial Day, we will have a monument in the park. It's very possible because the procurement process will probably be finished before the end of this year. And they will have a construction contract. And what after that, we'll have a groundbreaking. Then after the groundbreaking, that means that they will construct the actual plaza, which anybody can see a picture of on our website, sonsofatlanta.org. You can go to the website and you can look at a picture of the image of what the Memorial Plaza would look like. It's an open air memorial in Piedmont Park between 12th and 14th Street on the front lawn of Piedmont Avenue. It's nothing like it in the state. And what this memorial will do, it will connect up with all the other Vietnam War memorials in the state of Georgia on an app that you'll be able to download, and you'll be able to see all of the pictures and bios of the individual young men that we are honoring, and the communities that they came from, you know. And why we want to make it that personal, because the sacrifice was personal. And what we stand to lose if we don't embrace this call to unity is personal. Because we're going to lose our freedoms unless we overcome this negative spirit in our country right now that's dividing us, that's so toxic. They're name calling. They're killing people out of hate. They're spurring mental patients, people with mental problems that will kill themselves. They go out and kill a bunch of people for them before they kill themselves. That's radical. But this is what we're getting out of the current leadership in our political party, especially the Republicans. I don't see the Democrats. I'm not going to say that I think they practicing slow politics, you know, because they're in charge of certain things. I'm saying Biden just using his executive order to do something with this gun violence stuff. You know, I mean, that ain't for enough. We need to get those automatic weapons out of the community, and our movement is gonna get them out because they're in our community, and we shouldn't have no politician sitting in the Georgia General Assembly that won't respect the fact that we want that stuff out of our community. We know how to use the vote, and we at that time what Malcolm was talking about. It's either going to be the bullet or the ballot.
Yep.
It's going to be the bullet or the ballot. And this is not far-fetched.
Yeah.
It's not far-fetched when you in Jacksonville. Let me say this. I hope that don't start in Atlanta, because I know my homeboys going to fight back. They're going to listen, I'm sorry, y'all. That's just the ATL. And that's what these hate mongers want. They want to start a racial war. That's just how dastardly they're thinking of.
Yeah.
They're getting people that hate you just because of the color scheme. You ain't did nothing to them.
Don't know them. The
And
guy
they
that
were
walked in
kids.
college had no idea who these people were. When he went to that college, he didn't know any student there, but he just wanted to commit murder. He wanted to raise the aggravation level within our community. And by going there and doing something, that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And it's
And see, one of the things that gonna make Misha holding with our thing. See, we got to reach this younger generation with the message.
Yeah.
And with her, and I forgot too. Misha is a artist too, entertainer. She got CDs out, so she bring a lot to the stage with us, Misha. And we want to let you know that we need you, because in order for us to get to the community the way we need to get to the community, we need to bring every generation together.
Yeah.
On one accord.
Exactly.
So that we can understand that this separation that I looked at this stuff with Rick Ross and how the community tried to stop him from exercising his property rights.
Right.
And the young man, he's trying to help the community. He just got his own way of doing it. But we got some old thinkers in the community that want to stop him from doing it.
Yeah.
We need to overcome all these petty differences.
Yep.
We got too many. And some of it is generational, because our generation try to tell them we need you to mentor some of these at risk. I don't want to mess with them, they're crazy. I'm scared of them, I won't hurt them. We got to get out of that. We got to develop a bigger sense of tolerance and love for each other.
Yeah.
We just got to.
And we gotta stop and listen. Occasionally we gotta close our mouth and open our ears, because what they're saying makes sense. And the other thing about it is, we're the old generation. We have an old mode of thought. This newer generation is microwave. Instantly. But it's not saying those microwave thoughts are bad. Those microwave thoughts are good, because they are of now and not of what we it didn't used to be that way. And it's not going to ever be that way again. So we need to wake up and be open and receptive to these new ideas. It is a challenge for us, because we're old thinkers.
Yeah.
But those of us who can, I'm going to stop and at least listen. And therein is a challenge a lot of times. We're closed ears. We don't really listen. And we don't think you all have great ideas. And you do have really great ideas, because you're living in the now, where a lot of us, we're still living in the past.
Yeah, and we can't handle the technology. See.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, that's so true too. Like in the school system now, like I have a lot of success with the students, because I think out the box, or I come, I take some of the traditional ways, but I mix it with kind of how I would. I be that advocate I wish I had. And so I have a lot of success versus a lot of the older or traditional thinking teachers. They trying to get out the business because they don't understand this new kid. Well, see, the pandemic was damn near like a war too on the mind, especially of the kids. You feel what I'm saying? They locked in the house, and don't know what's going on. So you have to think about all them got PTSD. So but see, I get it because I come from, you know, you and my dad and watching you guys being overachievers. But think about the new mom, the new dad. They confused. They don't know. So I mean, you know, because keep in mind, we talking about how our generation, the family didn't get help. So those kids are everywhere, spread out, making new kids. And so once again, it's just generational. And so in the school system, like I say, I see it every day. But you know, we have to get out of that traditional way works only. You know, in order to have success today.
That's hard for some of us.
Yes.
Because we're comfortable with that old way of thinking.
Right.
Not realizing, just loosen up. You know, first of all, stop and listen. You know, unfortunately, a lot of times you'll have people with closed ears, and they you know, they don't want to listen to. But all you got to do is just stop and just shut your mouth and open your ears. And you're like, oh, that wasn't a bad idea. You know? But until they do that, therein lies the challenge with the communication between the older and the younger.
Right.
And this conversation has to go on. You know, we're coming with it today as the beginning. This is a new beginning to bring Misha on to the show as a co-host with all she got going in the new world, what I call the new world, and the college that we know that can help us with what we're doing now at this point where we're at, because we're opening our the day at the membership meeting. We was asking the members to get more involved right now with volunteering, get some volunteers. We need volunteers in the community, and with some of the programs that we are aspiring to pay for our journey. And one of those, a donation option. We are asking people to look at our website now. We putting up donation option. If you and everybody do it, want to make donations to the chapter for our projects, then you can donate. You have a whole list of things you can donate besides money. You know, household goods, building materials, cars, anything that you want to get a tax deduction for donating that you might feel you don't need anymore. And tax time is coming up. You're only a few months off, so we're setting it ready for you to help veterans and help yourself. You know, make donations to our donation option. And then we got Veterans in Service to the USA. What we're doing now for the people with employee retention credits money, that was billions of dollars set aside for the government business help during the COVID experience. And now that money is being given out to any business that had at least 5 or more W-2 workers. Now, these are W-2 workers, and I've discovered a lot about businesses since we've been doing this program. But if you got a business that have had at least 5 W-2 workers starting in 2020 and going forward. Now, even if you're out of business today, you can still get that money. You know, and up to $10,000 per employee. You know, and it goes straight to the business owner that they don't have to pay back. So, but now every time you file for that stuff, if you file through our site, we get a commission. So we're asking you to look at Veterans Service to the USA and let us help you. If you got a business, we will help you get that money, and you don't have to do anything but sign up with us. And then bottom line, we work with Bottom Line Concepts, and they do all of the work, and we get a commission. So we want you to think about that. And we need volunteers. Now, we need people that's willing to work in the community, because we're going to be going into the community centers and libraries with help units 6 days a week. You can volunteer 2 hours. You can volunteer 4 hours. You can volunteer 1 time a week, twice a week, however you feel like you want to volunteer. But we know we got a lot of retired teachers, got a lot of retired police officers, a lot of disabled people that, you know, that still got some ability to do something, that want to help out in the community every day. We want you to call us. Call us at 678-887-2650. And let's get involved. Or go to our website, sonsofAtlanta.org, and subscribe to us, and we'll communicate with you through that website. But we need you to come on with this call to unity for veterans, especially. We want all veterans families, and supporters to come together and the community, so that we can change the landscape of danger, the landscape of lack, and the landscape of greed, and that's eroding our sense of community and our capacity to want for our neighbors what we want for ourselves. There is enough resources in America for everybody to have a good life. You know, everybody. Tony, you need to say something.
No, you hit the nail on the head. But the challenge is, we've been dealing with that from the beginning, is greed. Mm-hmm. It's greed, and nobody wants to share. Mm-hmm. They want it all for themselves. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about that is what is happening in our political community. You know, the number 45, and I can't remember his city of Atlanta jail number, begins with P something, but he is a perfect example of greed. Mm. You know, that is where his world is, and it's there because he has never had a challenge to get funds. He lived off his father's income for years. When every venture that he took on failed, and he would go to his father for help. Mm-hmm. And so he has no idea. And now that his presidency bid has failed, he's going to the public to get funds. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating, but enough about him.
Well, I mean, what you're talking about, though, Tony, is important because we realize that this is the spirit. He's carrying the spirit that's dividing the country.
Oh, yes.
And how many people are coming out supporting him? Mm-hmm. It's like alarming to me. Like, what time are we living in? Yes. And and not to keep it going, but I kind of like it for the reason that it's exposing those true ones.
Yes.
Because I like to know what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, exactly.
So so for that reason, I kind of like it because there was a lot of hidden agendas that now they comfortable exposed and being out, and so now you can better plan your attack.
Yeah, and
you're bad. It's still bad.
But you're right, and it gives you a better chance to mount your defense.
That part.
Because see, there is a assault on your rights with this crew.
Yeah.
And now it's an assault on your life with this crew because they are spurring the kind of activity that happened in Jacksonville, Florida. Mm-hmm. You know, they're invoking mental illness as a tool for their cowardness. Mm-hmm. You know, they know that mental patients, if they've been raised to hate and you get them hating enough, they're gonna go out and do something
exactly
that's hateful. Mm-hmm. And we don't let this kind of stuff get in our politics. See, so that means we're giving them a platform for their hate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We need to go to the poll in 2023. Yes. Mm-hmm. 2023, now 2024 in every poll. But we got a lot of local elections taking place this year.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Some of them in Georgia General Assembly.
Yes.
We need to make sure some of them folks don't even go back to our government.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yeah.
And it's only going to do that by us working.
Yeah.
We got to not just talk about it, but be about it. We had to get out there and get some of these young people that's running for office that got a right mind, right state to do the right thing. We got to work for them to get in office.
Yeah.
I look and see what's going on in Tennessee and some of these other states, and what's going on in the Georgia General Assembly. Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that we're using our vote, because if we don't use our votes to stop this, we're gonna have to use the bullet.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. We're caught up with a situation that people are acting out violently, and I'm just hoping that they don't do that in Atlanta, Georgia, because see, that was set afire. We got young people here. If they start killing black people like that here, they're gonna start going out killing white people. Yep. That's what they want.
Mm-hmm. They want a race war.
They want a race war.
They want a race war. That's that is their end all to solve the racial problem. That is their attitude about it, and it's not. It's going to make a bad situation worse. Yeah.
And we got to keep an open mind, like you say, Tony. Listen, like you saying, Misha, do what we got to do. and that way we can undermine this new spirit. Because see, it ain't stronger than the spirit I know.
Oh no.
You know, it's just a strong spirit. You know, and we got to recognize that it's a strong spirit, but it's not stronger than my spirit.
Oh no.
You know, it's not stronger than our spirits.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you know, and there are a lot of other people like us.
Yeah.
We just
We're not alone.
we're not alone.
We're quiet. We're quiet in our actions, but we are very loud in our beliefs.
Yes,
And because of that belief, it gives us power. And we recognize where that power comes from.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry.
So you know, no, you're saying the right thing because
Yeah,
see,
love it.
we want people to know we're here every Saturday.
Yeah.
You can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, and you can view us on YouTube. You know, if you miss a show, you can always go to YouTube and look at it. And I tell you, look at it. And if you miss, we want you to start sharing the shows. Share it with your friends, with your neighbors, with your community. Because we wouldn't be here if we weren't trying to make sense out of a sensitive situation. You know, it is a sensitive situation, but we can make sense out of it.
Yes.
All we got to do is have a dialogue and understand that we don't know everything. You know, we can all learn from each other, and we all bring something special to the table that we can help other people learn and get open minds and discussions going on where we will make a change.
Yeah.
You know, we can make a change. Misha, let me say this: this show will never be the same. You know, this show will never be the same. We finna take it to another level, and we know that, and we're just so grateful that you are here today, and you'll be here with us now. You know, bringing stuff to the table. Misha said she wanted to interview me one time. Yeah, I guess that'll happen one time.
Yep. Coming soon. Stay tuned.
See, she know a lot about me. Probably a lot of people don't know. You know, she knows.
We're gonna get down and
dirt.
dirty. talking about I got the news articles, everything.
You know, so it's gonna be good that we be transparent with what we're trying to do, because we are trying to save our democracy from people that don't care nothing about it. We done made too great a sacrifice to look back and say, well, we're gonna let it go. No, we're not gonna let it go. We wanna inform all of those that's with us to be with us. Those that's against us, well, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's next week. It's next week, doing the same thing, the same time, at the same place. And we want you to start calling in, checking with us. See you next week.